everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Weekly. I'm your host, Chris Jester, joined by Josh Gomez and Craig Kellerman. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. No, I'm not doing good. Florida lost in the Final Four, but I'm living. So.
Now you really put all your eggs in the basket on Florida last 2 weeks ago. I remember talking about that.
I don't understand how that happened, but
I know they're
44 points. That's how.
You know what, Josh? You're fired. Get out of here. UConn played a great game. We'll go ahead and get into that since it just happened. UConn played a terrific game defensively. They ran a really good zone defense. Florida had to make outside shots. They couldn't do that. Wilbekin was off, and when Wilbekin isn't having a good game, Florida struggles offensively. They fought though. They fought the whole game until about the last 3 minutes, and UConn just. Their lead was too big. They led by, I think, 12 at one point, which was the biggest deficit Florida had to overcome this entire season. Florida was always able to get it to like 4 or 6 and go on a run, and then UConn would pull back ahead. And they weren't able to. UConn was the better team tonight, and they're going on to the national championship to face the winner of the Wisconsin-Kentucky game that starts in 15 minutes. So. Josh, I know you said you watched a little bit of it. What did you think?
Yeah, just what I saw about the game is that kind of everything that's true about college basketball. That game was it was a game of streaks, really. I mean, Florida started off really hot, then UConn. That's really, I think, the way just college basketball works more than anything now is just the teams. I honestly don't think UConn is the better team overall, but just the team that hits the right shots at the right times wins more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of balls did not bounce Florida's way. They'd get an easy look and the ball would just roll out of the net. And when you're that off, it only takes. That's the thing about the NCAA tournament. It's not like the NBA where you have 7 games and the better team always wins. You play a 1 game, and because it's a tournament, because there are so many teams, and that's the format, and you have an off night, and the team that can slightly inferior team can spook you. That's not to take a shot at UConn because any team that's in the Final Four is clearly a very, very good basketball team. But, sometimes the team doesn't win in the tournament in college basketball because it's a one-game thing and you can have an off shooting night. In basketball, if you're cold, and you're not going to beat anybody. So,
it's like being in Cleveland.
Same thing in football, too.
Craig, what did you think of the game? Did you watch it?
I did not. I hadn't had a chance to watch.
Okay.
I ain't gonna work too much.
And I think the one-game concept is what draws people in. So similar to the NFL playoffs, it's just one game, and then whatever happens. I think that's what draws me into it more than the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it's a different format. We can argue from here to sunrise which format is better, but it is more exciting, and it makes it easier for a Cinderella team or a sleeper team to go far if they get hot at the right time because it's just one game,
And it doesn't last 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mentioned the Wisconsin-Kentucky game is going on 15 minutes. Do you guys have predictions on who you think is going to meet UConn in the finals? Either of you?
I'm going to go with Kentucky personally just because I think like I mentioned with the streak, Kentucky's the streakiest team as there is. So they're either going to win by 20 or lose by 20. And even if they make the national championship game in 5 years, it isn't going to exist.
I think it could go. I think it could go anyway. Either way, because
both teams are very good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Kentucky too. I think they're on a hot streak right now. Everything's going their way, and I have to have some kind of hope that an SEC team can win the championship. So we'll go with Kentucky too over here.
In 5 years, it's going to be vacated.
Yeah, silly.
How the cookie crumbles.
I'm not a big Big Ten fan. I'm sick of hearing about it. So I'd like to see what I think go down when they get there.
That's what she said.
No one would say that about Wisconsin. All right, anyway. Moving on, some NFL news. Deshaun Jackson was released by the Philadelphia Eagles 2 weeks ago, and he signed with the Washington Redskins, who are one of the Eagles' biggest rivals in the NFC East. They paid him about $8 million a year, which is a lot for a wide receiver.
Yeah, but he's worth it.
I don't know.
Hashtag analysis.
I think he's worth it.
He makes more than Calvin Johnson does every season. Like, that's absurd.
Dude,
I don't know.
Fastest wide receiver in the league.
He is, and he's gonna make the Eagles regret letting him go.
Oh
Absolutely.
my God! The thing that gets me about this whole thing is that it's just a knee-jerk reaction, and they didn't give up. They didn't get anything out of it. They just wanted to boot him. I don't understand why.
Let me interject, though. We say he's going to make the Eagles regret it. I don't think the Eagles regret it to trade Donovan McNabb. You have to remember, this is the Redskins.
Yeah.
The Raiders of the East.
The Raiders of the East.
I think the Redskins are going to be a lot better this season. I think last year was a lot of a result of RG3 being injured and Mike Shanahan and RG3 having their drama and their confusion. Shanahan's gone. They've got a capable coach in there now, his first head coaching job. RG3 is going to be healthy this year, and I do think he is as good as advertised. I mean, he's not Andrew Luck, but he is a very good quarterback, and I think they're going to figure it out this year.
And now they got a downfield threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Garcon was the over-the-middle guy, and then they assigned Andre Roberts to be the slot guy. Now they got Deshaun Jackson to stretch the field with his speed. And another thing is, people forget that the Philadelphia Eagles last year, they won the NFC East barely after getting the easiest schedule of any team in the division because they were the worst team in the division the year before. They played all the worst teams in the NFC. They played their own division, which wasn't really tough. And now the Redskins get that benefit. You know, they get to play the Vikings, they get to play the Rams, they get to play the Buccaneers, and then they get to play the NFC East. So,
you're a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I know. That's a freebie. But yeah, so I think the Redskins are going to be a lot better this year. No one in that division plays defense anyway, and that's their weakness. But on offense, they got a lot of talent there now. They got Alfred Morris, Josh Reed. They got a lot of guys in there. So
they're putting together a track team if you really look at it. I mean, Reed, Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon, the waiter. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they do. They have. Yeah, exactly. They're going to be.
Just a big issue with their offense is outside of Trent Williams at left tackle, they have nothing.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have a first-round pick to address that either.
Well, yeah, they would if Because wouldn't Sammy Watkins be great in that offense?
I don't think they need more wide receivers. I think they need offensive linemen.
They could have traded him for something really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I mean, was it like because he's gang affiliated? Like, what's going on? I don't know. What's going on?
They said it was his bad attitude. Chip Kelly's only been there for a year. He doesn't want to. He wants to feel like he's in control. He doesn't want to take any attitude. He wants to show that offense doesn't need any one specific player. So
that's what I was going to say. And I think it was just to prove a point that if any player asks for more money, Chip Kelly's on offense. At least Chip Kelly's confident enough in his offense to say he can be replaced.
Except LaShawn McCoy. Never let LaShawn McCoy go.
Well, I
would not do that.
Oh yeah,
not a good
idea. He actually had an interview talking about Deshaun Jackson. He seemed shocked. He was like, I can't believe they let him go like that. And then he asked him, do you think
this is the same guy that made the knee-jerk reaction to Riley Cooper last year? So
yeah,
there's that. I think he said that he was never going to embrace him or whatever, and I'm pretty sure when he was scoring those touchdowns this year, he was embracing him. So, take anything he says with a grain of salt. But yeah, back to the Redskins thing. I think the big question really with the Redskins, because they could win the NFC East this year, but they could also 3-13 again. The big question is I wonder if Jay Gruden, if he's going to be smart enough to realize that RG3 can't be running around running a college offense anymore. Like, they seem like Shannon for to believe that he could. That's the big question I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's gonna have to settle down and play in the pocket more. He can still use his running ability, but yeah, he's gonna have to calm down and stay in the pocket a lot because especially with that offensive line. If he tries to run that spread off and shit too much, he could get hurt again, and then who knows if they're going to hold on to Kirk Cousins or if they're going to trade him. But if they don't have him, pick him up, they're in trouble. So, So anybody else got anything else to say about Deshaun Jackson? Craig said you talked about him for years.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, I just read this article and they were just saying how bad of an attitude he's got, but he still makes the touchdowns, and like he's always downfield. Like, I don't understand why they would just boot him like that, where he's not a team player, this, that, and the other thing, his selfishness. But he gets shit done. I think that's in the NFL.
But, I mean, does he really? Because I remember that year was 2011 where he just, it seemed like he didn't care anymore. So that's the big question I have is he had a great year last year, but he's so inconsistent that I don't know if he's really worth it that they would have to pay him.
Mm-hmm. I remember when the Vikings had Randy Moss, and Moss was hands down the best wide receiver in the NFL. People talked about him like he was going to be better than Jerry Rice, yada, 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 yada.
But the Eagles had such a good season lined up for 2014, though. And he was just like a main threat. He's the number one wide receiver, and then they just get, boom, done.
Well, I remember when the Eagles drafted him in the first place, they actually took Jeremy Maclin to be the guy. And Jackson was supposed to be like his sidekick.
Right.
And Maclin hasn't been able to stay healthy, and they brought him back for one more year to try to see. And Jackson's been the Pro Bowl receiver on the team.
But we also got Foles now. So it's not... Huh?
Also, something similar you can think about too is maybe they look at how there's 7,000 receivers in this draft, and there's plenty of guys like Brandon Cooks that are available in the draft that they could probably replace. They feel that they might be able to replace Deshaun Jackson's production.
This is a very deep wide receiver draft. There's about 5 or 6 guys who go in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, will they be able to replace it? I don't know, but I think it's kind of similar to what the Vikings did when they traded Percy Harvin and then drafted Cordell Patterson to basically take that role.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like they got big shoes to fill, and I feel like they're losing.
Oh, I do agree. I think he had 1,300 yards last year. I mean, it's not going to, 1,300-yard receivers aren't growing on trees.
But it was one thing when you had Vic, who would be running downfield and shit. But Foles is strictly a passing quarterback.
Mm-hmm. He'll get the ball to whoever they get for him to throw to.
Yeah.
I think it'll be okay. Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver from LSU, was preaching his case for the Eagles to draft him. So I heard you need a wide receiver, saying it on Twitter. So who knows?
I really wonder.
Just preaching their case. Hey, by the way, saw you released Deshaun Jackson.
If I was a player in the draft, I'd be tweeting to every team, hey, I heard you need a whatever position,
Yeah.
Hey, this is crazy. Hey, this is crazy, but here's my number. Call me maybe.
Yeah. I haven't heard that song in 5 months, and I was happy about that.
Yeah, sorry. Bad memories.
So, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's one of those things we're going to have to see till the season starts, how it ends up affecting the teams.
The Odell Beckham thing, there was also Sammy Watkins pictures on Instagram, fan-made pictures of him with different teams' jerseys on. I mean...
I don't think Sammy Watkins is going to have any trouble getting drafted. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. We'll have to see when the season starts what goes down. See if the Eagles regret it or not. You're not going to replace a 1,300-yard receiver, but I mean, there's a bit of depth there in the draft. It was a move they were comfortable with. They've had him there for years. They were getting sick of his attitude. I think it was a kind of a knee-jerk reaction, like you said. I'm pretty sure they could have got a draft pick out of him or something if they had just waited. The draft's in a few weeks. They could have got something trade-wise out of him.
Traded the shit out of him. They could have gotten something nice.
And they could have directed where he went. They could have controlled
that too. I think what the problem with that might have been too is
now they got to go against them.
Similar to why Chris Johnson was released instead of traded, where no team's going to want to take on that cap hit. I'm sure teams would probably inquire about it. Only trade for him if he was willing to take a pay cut or something. I think that might have been a pick in it too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Deshaun Jackson had a pretty hefty contract, so any team that would be trying to trade for him, it would have to be like Oakland or somebody with the money to be able to do it. A lot of teams who would want him, to slightly improve their hosts would have to pay a lot more. That's why one of the reasons he went to the Redskins is Snyder's willing to throw money at anybody. So,
and apparently, one of the first people that talked to him after he was released was RG3. So,
yeah. Well, he was like, "Hey, I need some weapons. Help me out, bro."
Yeah. Or maybe he needs some. Maybe the Republican needs some gang connections.
Oh. Yeah. All I know is
allegedly.
Them Redskin potatoes are definitely a threat now, especially in the East.
Yeah. I actually think this is the first year you might actually see people predict the Dallas Cowboys to go last in the NFC East.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
And with that being said, they're going to win 12 games.
I don't know. Their defense is atrocious.
You know, stranger things have happened. It's the NFC East, for God's sake.
They did sign Henry Middleton. That's a big move, but I think they're gonna struggle to replace Ware. I think they need a lot of help in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, Hall of Famers aren't growing on trees either, so you know.
No matter if they're breaking down or not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on to some NBA talk. The playoffs are gonna be here soon. We have about 6 games left in the regular season. Most of the playoff spots are locked up. In the East, the only one that's really up for grabs is the 8th slot between either the Knicks or the Hawks. I don't really see anybody else catching up. The Knicks are about a half game behind Atlanta, the 8th seed. I think most people would rather see New York make it just to see Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson there in the playoffs. And another New York-Miami matchup is a lot more appealing than Miami and Atlanta. I mean, Miami's going to sweep them anyway, but I still would rather see that than the Hawks in there. I mean, it's not appealing. Atlanta's not a good team. The only reason they're even in it is because they're in the Eastern Conference. So
you know you're bad when you're fighting for the 8th seed in the East.
Oh my God, right? 33-44 is the record.
And then people are talking about wanting to expand the playoffs. Come the fuck on.
Oh, you don't expand the playoffs in the NBA. Hell no. There's already too many teams as it is.
Yeah. There's already, of the 16 teams that are in the playoffs, maybe 6 of them people have a legitimate shot at making a run.
Mhm. Yeah, and most of those are in the West.
Yeah. And then there's Miami, Indiana, and
I don't know if I consider Indiana a threat anymore. They're falling apart.
Yeah, I really don't.
Actually, a guy at my work the other day, I don't know if he was trying to blow smoke up my ass or whatever, but he said that if he thinks Chicago meets Indiana in the playoffs, that Chicago will actually probably knock out Indiana. So, who knows? I mean, if the Bulls can get to the Eastern Conference Finals and then maybe get Derrick Rose back by then who knows? But
they're on a 5-winning streak, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, getting Derrick Rose back, that's a pipe dream at this point.
I don't know. He's practicing.
Yeah, well, he's also been healthy for 2 years.
Oh, come on. Get out of here. He was not. He tore his fucking knee up again, okay? The other one this time.
No, but I honestly don't blame him for doing what he's doing. I mean, he could potentially lose millions of dollars if he tears his ACL or MCL, whatever CL is again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't either. You got to take care of your body when you're a pro athlete.
And also,
especially when you're as dumb as Derrick Rose is, you definitely got to take care of your body.
And just his playing style too. I kind of look at it similar to how with Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was young; he played just like Derrick Rose, but then 47 knee injuries later, you can barely move. He's gonna have to be able to think about. I mean, he's still in his mid-20s. Just think about, well, playing basketball for a few years. Will that potentially ruin when I'm later in my life with my kids and my grandkids?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
He can take it easy and still make millions of dollars and still be a real damn good player.
Yeah.
But, his reckless abandon style is what makes him so exciting and makes the Bulls so good, too. Now, they've gotten there without him. They've played great defense and hustle Chicago basketball. Joakim Noah's playing out of his fucking mind. And if they could get him back at the end of the playoffs, who's to say they wouldn't be able to, give the Heat some trouble? I am not convinced Indiana is a team that can do that. Hibbert is their man. He's the only guy that really threatens Miami just because of his size and them not having anyone that can keep up with him.
I think if Indiana was going to beat Miami, I'm sure it was the perfect time to do it. When they had Miami on the ropes, and then they just didn't capitalize.
Mm-hmm. I don't see Indiana as a team anymore. Maybe earlier this year when they were on that run, I could have bought into it a little bit, but they've spontaneously combusted now. And Paul George is not at that level yet where he can take over the team like a Durant or LeBron can. Yeah. So I don't have enough faith in my Indiana. It's pretty much a walk in the park for Miami at this point to get back to the finals.
Yeah, it might be kind of knee jerk, but would it not shock anyone if they sweep their way to the Eastern Conference Finals?
It would shock me if they swept Indiana. I don't think they'll sweep them, but I think they'll decisively beat them. Maybe 6 games. I can't see Indiana having a chance of knocking the Heat out, but I could see them sweeping the rest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially if Chicago didn't have Rose back, they absolutely would sweep their way through. So how far would Chicago have to go into the playoffs for them to possibly bring Rose back if he was able to? Maybe the NBA Finals. I don't think they'll get there without him, but Yeah, it would probably take the actual championship.
Yeah, it would take a finals appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they made
but also on the topic of the NBA. On the topic of the NBA, hey, the Sixers finally broke their losing streak.
They did. They beat the Pistons last week, right after we went off the air.
Yeah.
They stomped the Pistons.
that's only made by fucking week.
That's how bad the Detroit Pistons are. They get slaughtered.
Give them the number 1 pick.
Fire Dumars. Yeah. Jeez. I stand by what I said. I still want Milwaukee to get the number 1 pick. They need it so bad.
And I hope the Sixers end up with the 9th pick, just to spite them.
Oh yeah. They're not even trying anymore. Well, they haven't been trying for 3 months, but they're not. They're really not trying.
I mean, they called me for a tryout last week, so
Did they?
That should tell you,
I don't know. The Pistons called me, so what does that tell you? All right. And in the Western Conference is about the same, but the records are a lot better. The last few spots are up for grabs. All the records are pretty close. Portland's 49-28, Golden State's 47-29, Dallas is 46-31, and then Memphis and Phoenix are both 45-31. So it's just a matter of which of those teams are going to get it.
How high would they be seeded in the East?
The Phoenix Suns, who are currently not a playoff team in the West, would be the 3rd seed in the East.
Jesus Christ. Talk about talent disparity.
I thought the Clippers were the 3rd seed.
No, if the Suns are the 9th seed in the West right now. In the Eastern Conference, they'd be the 3rd seed. That's absurd. That's how ridiculously bad the East is. Yeah, the Clippers are the 3rd seed in the West. Yeah, no, the Phoenix Suns are not the 3rd seed in the West. It's a pretty tough conference. Is there anybody besides the Spurs or the Thunder or the Clippers you guys could see maybe being the finals? Any sleeper out of those 8 or 9 if you want to count Phoenix?
I could see the Rockets.
The Rockets?
Rockets making a run if just a few things fall the right way for them.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent there in that starting lineup. The Portland Trailblazers is another team I was going to say.
They got a lot of wins.
Yeah. And because James Harden's a fucking man.
Mm-hmm.
Warriors doing it right.
The Warriors are one of those teams. I think they're a little too small, but I could see the Golden State being at least pushing one of those top teams.
Yeah. The Warriors are probably my favorite team in the NBA to watch, just because the way they play. I don't think they're going to make a run at the finals or anything. They're just fun to watch.
Yeah. If Doc Rivers could get the Clippers playing some defense, I could see the Clippers being good in a couple of years. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, that 1-2 punch right now. But until they start playing that D, I don't see them past an OKC or San Antonio. And then that's where I want to get into. A couple of weeks ago, I said the Spurs were a lock to get to the finals, and then I watched the Thunder play track basketball with them and run them up in the court in the Spurs streak and go beat them in fast break to 13. That's a problem I think San Antonio's got a huge glaring problem with. They keep up with fast teams in Oklahoma City and the Clippers. They're too old. So I'm actually going to rig on what I said and predict the Thunder finals again.
Bastard.
KD versus LBJ.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see how the decrepit Spurs can run up and down the court with the Thunder. The Thunder are already really good. It's not like the Thunder can't play that half-court game the Spurs want to play if they want to. They just got Perkins back. But if it becomes a track meet, Spurs are doomed. There's no way.
And so are the first 4 rows of fans in the arena, because they're going to die to oxygen deprivation.
Yeah. In the East instead of Atlanta, you think the Knicks will make it in? Craig?
Yeah, I mean, for nothing else, just for the marketing of it, Knicks. Yeah, they have a chance to lose by less than 30 in Game 1.
Mm-hmm. A chance.
Yeah. If Carmelo plays like he can play, if not, well, he's shut out.
I don't think they're gonna get shut out, man. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's as drastic as you're making it sound.
100-0. The Knicks are extrapolated from the NBA, along with every team that didn't make the playoffs after them.
Yeah, those get demoted to the D League.
Welcome to a New York team.
God. Yeah, you're not having too good of a sports year, are you?
No.
The Knicks and the Giants.
Knicks and the Giants are sucking. Nah, man. I don't even want to talk about it.
You got 100. Yeah, you don't want to talk about sports on a sports show. And you got 100. You got 157 games to go with the fucking. Are you a Yankees or a Mets fan?
I'm a Yankees fan.
Okay.
Well, at least you're not a Mets fan.
Oh.
My friend is a Mets fan. He said after the third game, he said, "I know it's a little early, but I'm already quitting on the Mets."
Cubs fans are staying for entry.
No, I don't even say like usually the Mets go in for the first 30 games and then it's just downhill from there.
Ugh.
They got a nice pitcher though.
Yeah. Tell me I have no idea. I don't watch baseball.
A nice pitcher can't win you very many games. I mean,
no.
Seattle with Felix Hernandez before the year.
So, okay, well, fuck it. While we're on it, Craig, what are you looking at in baseball this year? Who do you think's gonna? Anybody look really good?
Well, basically the top teams are always going to be like Philadelphia. Definitely the Red Sox are going to make it to the playoffs. Yankees make it. Although the Yankees are falling apart, they're losing out. Like they're it's like all old guys on that team. Like, well, we just lost Jeter. I don't know.
Did Will Ferrell shoot him?
Oh my God! You shot Derek Jeter.
And the guy in the back, you should have shot A-Rod.
Oh yeah, A-Rod got into a bunch of trouble.
I'll say this: so when it comes to the Yankees, is what I'm afraid of with Derek Jeter happening with this being his retirement run. It's turning into the Ray Lewis thing from a couple years ago, where I was as big a fan of Ray Lewis as there was, but by the time that Ravens Niners Super Bowl came around, I was just sick of hearing his name. And I'm kind of afraid that's going to happen with Derek Jeter.
We got 157 games to hear about him, so yeah.
He only plays in like 30 of them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, he's one of the best baseball players ever, so they're going to talk about it if it's his last year, especially if he's hurt right now anyway.
Yeah.
They had a lot of time to talk about him, but that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't really blame Ray Lewis or Derek Jeter or even if you want to go to Tim Tebow or some of these other athletes that get, constant publicity. It's just with SportsCenter, they need something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about an Astros game for 6 hours a day. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I hate sports journalism. They all go to hell. Wait, that's us.
It's kind of like when it's just the way you have to look at that too. Is just kind of you can't blame these people for when there's nothing else to talk about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They got to talk about something besides the NFL all the time.
Yeah,
we're like the only ones who could talk about the NFL all the time.
They can't just bring up the Super Bowl in the middle of April.
I knew you were going to do that.
Speaking of the Super Bowl,
I knew you were going to do that. I was waiting for it. I had my watch next to me. I was like waiting for Josh to fucking bring up the Super Bowl. He's going to do it. I guarantee it. That and the fucking kid from the Cam Newton commercial.
Hey, the kid from the Cam Newton commercial. He's going to be the Super Bowl MVP next year, all right?
Listen. And we'll still be talking about that Super Bowl during the next Super Bowl.
You guys remember last year during the Super Bowl when the
Super Bowl when the Seahawks scored about 97 points?
I was actually playing Madden 25 the other day, and a little filter at the bottom, it'll show all kinds of stuff. It'll be like the news that is going on, like the Deshaun Jackson that popped up. It popped up on my ticker if I was on live, and it says like the last score of the last game that happened, so it just shows the Super Bowl, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, the Broncos got killed. Like, I'm just sitting there like
48-7 or something.
I was like, the score just flashed by, and I was like, holy shit, it was that bad. Like, God.
Oh man, the start safety. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Hey, the score was tied for all of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's how one-sided it was. And then Richard Sherman comes out after the game and says 49ers were the second best team in the NFL, and that was the real Super Bowl. Like just shits all over the Broncos after they actually shit all over the Broncos. Like,
yeah. Well, and also It didn't matter what Richard Sherman would have said. Someone would have made a story out of it anyway. I mean, he could have said, "I love turkey," and that would have been the headline. Oh, why doesn't he like ham?
That's what we do, man.
That's what us journalists do. We just shit all over these athletes. They can never do anything right.
That Richard Sherman fellow, he's so uneducated, and he just runs his mouth.
No. The only reason he went to Stanford and graduated with like a 3.8 GPA was because he played football.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he had to switch positions.
I just read the Miami Hurricanes quarterback, the college team, tore his ACL, so they're gonna have to start the second string guy next season. Yeah, that's pretty big. It just happened.
Well, no, you never know with the advancements in modern medicine, he could be walking next week.
I severely doubt it.
I mean, after Adrian Peterson, I've learned to not rule anything out.
Adrian Peterson is an exception. He is a freak. All right.
Yeah, I honestly think they should check him for wires. I don't think he's a human.
He said the day he got injured, as soon as he was physically able to do any type of rehab, he was rehabbing twice as hard as he could every single day to get back in time. That guy is a fucking motivated motherfucker.
Yeah, I actually heard a story too that was after the surgery, he was like moving and bending his knee when the doctor was like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that for like a week, and he's just like bending his knee as he's sitting on the table.
Yeah, well, that team needs everything they can get to, like...
Too bad he can't play quarterback and can't catch the ball.
We thought about it. I wrote a letter to Mike Zimmer and said, can you try putting Peterson back there and direct snapping him the football and just using that as our quarterback?
Is that what you do on Madden? You just do a wildcat every play?
Yeah. I was like, I don't care which quarterback's the highest rated. They're not going to play at all. I'm direct snapping the ball to AP. Direct snap the ball to Cordero Patterson.
Just give it to AP. That's the plan.
I saw this picture once. It said, like, there's a couple of them. There's, like, a Vikings playbook, and it's just, like, a picture of Madden. It's all run plays.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, Vikings team photo. It's just a picture of Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. There's a similar thing with Browns where it was the 4 plays.
Yeah. God. Well, the Browns now would just be, like, lobs to Josh Gordon.
Yeah, well, if it ain't broke, maybe a couple drags to Jordan Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Tate can't be worse.
You're just plugging Cameron because he was on your fantasy team last year.
Yeah, well.
Hey, dude, he's really good at getting you second place. All right.
Hey,
it could have been worse. If I didn't have Jordan Cameron, I probably would have been not second place.
That's true. Oh, and yeah, like you said, yeah, they signed Ben Tate. That'll be an exception if he can stay healthy. Hey, well, hell, we're supposed to talk about the AFC North. We could just start with the Browns. Fuck it. One of the off-season moves the Browns made was they signed Ben Tate, Texans backup running back from last year. The big problem with him is he's had trouble staying healthy. He missed quite a few games at the end of the season last year. He finally had everything fall into place for him. Arian Foster goes down. A lot of people have said for a few years that Tate may be the actual more complete running back out of the two, and he gets an opportunity to like win the starting job or at least show all the teams in the NFL, hey, take a chance on me in the offseason, make himself a lot of money, and he gets hurt. And now Cleveland signed him, and he's going to start because he's the most talented running back they have. But he got paid significantly less than he could have, because they were like, hey, you've not shown us any reason to prove you're worth us paying you a lot of money. There's no incentive there.
Yeah.
So,
anybody know the status of Arian Foster?
He's back on. He's back on Twitter if that counts for anything.
Yeah, Foster will be fine starting next season.
And then he'll get hurt in week 3 again.
He's a monster.
And then he'll start complaining about fantasy football again. Really, with the Ben Tate thing, really, I think for him it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be like Michael Turner's first season in Atlanta, or he's going to miss 12 games with a knee injury. It's going to go one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows too. Speaking with Michael Turner and then some of these other running backs that have gotten paid over the last few years, how much the running backs have been devalued now. I mean, Ben Tate was sat on the market for 2 weeks before he got peanuts. Mm-hmm. Compared to what he could have gotten if he was a free agent 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, other than the really special guys like the Adrian Petersons and the Jamal Charles, like running backs are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, I agree. Like they say, I say that too. If you don't have one of those top tier guys, like you mentioned, you can just basically sign guys off the streets to at least be competent.
You don't have to pay a ton, and I think one thing that's really going to help Tate, if he can stay healthy, the Browns are going to run the ball a lot this year. He's going to get a big workload. I've actually got him. I know I'm obsessed with this, but this is how you win every year. I've already got my rankings for this year for like my first set of rankings for fantasy, and Tate's my 20th running back, and that's actually pretty good. It sounds like a lot. Like, well, it's like other running backs and all that. That makes him like he's like a third-round pick.
like I haven't finalized my rankings or anything like that because while we're on the topic, I probably have him in the 20-25 range somewhere. That's kind of the right range, I think. I mean, he's not going to be a top 10 player, but there's no reason he couldn't be a number 2 running back in fantasy.
I'm sure we're not the only people who go look at this stuff in April. Maybe we should do some rankings in a week or two and see.
Yeah.
See our views spike up.
I was doing this in February, so.
Yeah, me too.
Come on now.
As soon as the Super Bowl was over, I was like, all right, now I'll tweet all the information out. Okay.
2014 fantasy.
The second the game ended, I'm like, well, that was a great game and a terrible end to the season. Okay, all right, where's my sheets? Okay, printing off stuff. I got some little midget freaking assistants like running around delivering papers. Like, hurry, let's go, come on.
I'm making spreadsheets during halftime.
Yeah. I have a big board I'm constantly updating. Like, who's this third string cornerback on Seattle?
Yeah. Why do you think I watch preseason football?
Oh, I know, me too. Dude, you find some gems.
It's like the NFL Wall Street at Chris Jester's house.
I actually am going to go to the Colts training camp in Anderson just so I can see if there's anybody that I should draft.
Like Levon Brazil or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's on the Colts.
Good. All right, I should write that down. Yeah.
Then there's other expert analysis like Andrew Luck is good. Trent Richardson is not.
Andrew Luck sneezes and I'm like, all right, may have a serious condition.
May have the flu.
Hey, Michael Jordan played all right with the flu.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Jordan could do anything.
He could deny homeless people money.
What?
You guys saw that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we should go ahead and mention that so people aren't like, what the hell are they talking about? My friend posted in a group the other day that he heard a story that Charles Barkley was going to hand a homeless man some change one day, and Michael Jordan was like, "No, Charles, we don't give money to the homeless. That encourages them." And if they can ask for change, they can ask for a job at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's kind of got a point. There's sides of that. We won't get too much into it, but yes, there are the homeless people that intentionally have no intention of ever getting a job, and they just want handouts, and then they're going to go back to using it to buy alcohol and cigarettes. And then there are the homeless people that are legitimately really needing help. But there are a lot of places that those people can go for help. So it's hard to take it seriously when you see them. Now we know, to Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, change is nothing. But I mean, still, you really don't want to encourage it. I've had many people come up to me and ask me for change before, and the most I'll ever do is if they want it for food or something, I'll buy the food for them. Then at the very least, all they did was hustle a free meal out of me, but at least they didn't use it to get alcohol or some stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can't really tell. There's so many times. I mean, you can say oh, what if they had a baby? They even use babies in the scheme sometimes. They'll
you don't buy homeless people alcohol.
Yeah. What?
Makes you a better person than me.
You don't buy homeless people. Yeah, Josh buys homeless people alcohol. He's like, you're going to do this anyway. I'm going to help you out. Yeah. We're going to drink together, and you're going to tell me your life story. Why are you in this position?
No, but seriously, you ever just talk to homeless people? They have some pretty cool stories, I'm just saying,
Do shots with the fucking homeless dude down the street and just hear about his life. That actually sounds really fun. Okay?
His name is Charles, okay?
Yeah. I won't give you $1, but I'll buy you some alcohol if you drink it with me.
Man, your life. He's like, man, your life's more depressing than mine.
God damn, I just finished second in fantasy football. This is all that's happened to me. But yeah.
The reason we always bring that up, Craig, the reason we always bring that up is because me and Josh played in the finals of our league last year, and I beat him.
Right.
Yeah.
The fourth year, it's ridiculous. I might just quit.
I win every year, and I usually beat Josh in the playoffs. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
How does it feel, Josh?
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm looking at fantasy football rankings in February isn't doing me any good. I might start in January.
Hey, Josh, have you been feeding that monkey that's on your back? Because he's looking kind of sick.
Oh, I know. No, because I gave all my extra money to the homeless guy down the street.
I thought you used it to buy him alcohol.
Same difference. back on the homeless people thing. I mean, that's kind of the Michael Jordan homeless people thing. But without getting into the ethical whatever mumbo jumbo, it really all just comes down to personal preference. Like if you want to, you do. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
I've seen a homeless. Yeah, I've never seen a homeless person chasing down the street for money, but that'd be pretty.
I want to hear someone say.
No, if Michael Jordan's given one homeless guy,
I want to see.
If Michael Jordan's given.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I want to see on my feed. I want to see on my feed someone say, "I just heard on Sports Talk Weekly that Michael Jordan hates homeless people."
Yeah. Also, Michael Jordan not giving money to homeless people after you save the from I think your brownie points with the big guy upstairs are kind of maxed out. There's nowhere to go but down from there. So why bother?
Michael Jordan stole somebody's homeless guy's jacket.
Michael Jordan hits local homeless man with a truck. Maybe he shouldn't give him. Maybe he shouldn't give him money. He should ask if they've ever played basketball before. Maybe they can play for the Bobcats. Giving them a job.
Yeah.
Why not? Hey, the playoff team, Josh.
You dribble?
Yeah, in the East. Okay, what's that?
They're 38-38. They are 500. They have the same record they did when the season started.
Good for them.
But yeah, we try to go back to the Browns thing. Get a little off topic. Other than Tate, they lost Jason Campbell. He signed with the Bengals. He's backing up Andy Dalton now. I don't know. The Browns, they didn't make any big moves. They're going to look at making all their big moves in the draft. They still have Gordon and Cameron.
Well, their defense got better, or it may have gotten better when they signed Carlos Dansby and Dante Hittner, whatever the hell he's calling himself these days.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, too bad it's not 2009, but hey.
Yeah, I always say that about the Raiders. Like the Raiders offseason moves, like, well, they had the best offseason of 2011.
I can't remember. One of the NFL Network people was saying this, where they said hey, the Raiders are in 2014. They're putting together a great team to compete in 2008.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about the AFC West next week and just not talk about the Raiders. Save ourselves some time.
I'm pretty sure the Raiders would prefer that.
But yeah, so Dansby and Hittner, yeah, those are definitely good moves, and they've got 2 first-round picks. The Browns got a lot to go. After they robbed the Colts, and everybody made fun of them. They're like, "Oh, Cleveland, you're so stupid. You traded Trent Richardson." Okay. Where
Trent Richardson ran forward at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. Where should Cleveland go with the 4th pick, in your opinion, Josh?
I'd say just best player available. Honestly, they have so many holes where. I think throughout the draft, because they have about 97 draft picks or something like that. After Lombardi basically was just trading every pick, I'd say just go best position player, whether it's a offensive lineman, defensive lineman, quarterback, Sammy Watkins, whatever. Just whatever the highest rated player on their board at number 4 is, I would just go that direction.
That's a really good strategy. I do think they really need a quarterback in the future. They don't necessarily have to get him in the first round. I know they're in love with Johnny Manziel, though. So if he's there at 4, I can't see them not picking him.
Are they, or was it Michael Lombardi's, his regime? Because I heard that they weren't even at his pro day.
Ooh.
Take that, but they were also giving him they're also bringing him in for private workout. But, I mean.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they'd be at his pro day either way if they were interested. Maybe they're just trying not to tip their hand.
Yeah, but also with the new regime, they didn't really say anything. It was Michael Lombardi in the former front office that was all gaga over Johnny Football. I really haven't heard nearly as much. I've heard Daniel Jeremiah actually say the guy that they're really looking at is Derek Carr. So.
And they don't have to worry about getting him to the 2nd round.
But also, this is the Browns we're talking about here.
Yeah.
They could have gotten Brandon Whedon in the 2nd round too. And
I think they should. Maybe they should get Carr with their
the 26th pick or whatever.
Pick. That makes sure they would get him over Jacksonville, because I know the Jacksonville coach is really a big fan of Derek Carr, and they would pick ahead of Cleveland. So maybe using their 2nd first rounder on Carr, and then getting Carr and Sammy Watkins would be really, really good for them. Do you have an opinion, Craig, where Cleveland should go with that 4th pick?
Fuck, man, I don't know, man. They should. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're in trouble either way. Even if they do get a 6th secondary, They need a defense. I think that's number one.
Do you think quarterback is a pressing enough need for them at 1 or at 4? Who's to say who would the best defensive player be available at that point? Khalil Mack, maybe they could. Pass rushing line.
Yeah, I would say Mack would be the number one pick for them, for sure. But yeah, I mean, for as far as quarterbacks are concerned. I mean, who are they using right now?
Right now they have Brian Hoyer will be coming back from his ACL surgery last year, so he would be the.
Have to play 60
and he's coming off of a surgery. Ooh, man, yeah. Well, who's their secondary? Because he's not going to play every game.
The second quarterback. Campbell went to Cincinnati, so I don't even know who it would be now.
It's going to be Nate to play 60 kid.
It's going to be Nate to play 60 kid from the. The commercial, but I thought he wanted to take Cam Newton's job and become his mom's favorite player.
Well, he's requesting a trade, but nothing's happened yet, as of today.
That makes sense. Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, Cleveland doesn't have a lot of depth at quarterback right now.
They definitely need a quarterback. Yeah.
But like Josh said, and this is a fairly deep quarterback draft. They could get one later. Maybe they could get a guy like Garoppolo in the 3rd round. I heard he's really underrated.
Well, also the thing is too with the Cleveland quarterbacks. I've heard recently. I don't know how true this is, but some people are saying Teddy Bridgewater might fall. So just say they do decide to go quarterback with that, with the 22nd pick or whatever. Derek Carr's there and Teddy Bridgewater is there. What decision do they make?
Oh, they take Bridgewater.
Yeah, I would think so, but
yeah, I can't see if Bridgewater slips past Minnesota. I think he's going to drop far.
Yeah, they say that Minnesota's where if any of the quarterbacks really, but from what I'm hearing, it would most likely be Bridgewater. It's going to be it'll be like Brady Quinn that 1 year. Where
have you looked at if you look at the teams that pick after Minnesota, none of them have a desperate need at quarterback. So,
but at the same time, I could also see something crazy happening with St. Louis, just because. Oh, that seems like a really interesting spot for maybe Jeff Fisher to decide maybe Sam Bradford isn't the guy.
Maybe they could pick up Mark Sanchez.
Philadelphia already did that.
Yeah, they basically.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
the Jets and the Eagles basically traded backup quarterbacks.
I could see the Rams trading out of that spot too and letting someone else move.
I don't think they make both of those first round picks, whether it's 2 or was it 13 or 14, whatever it is. One of those picks are going to go to someone else.
In a way, I think they will because the NFC West is so competitive and the Rams are so close, and they've got to start winning games now and try to make the playoffs. And if they get 2 first round picks that are really high picks, that may be what they need. If they keep a healthy Bradford, take Greg Robinson with that 2nd pick, get a guy like the wide receiver out of Texas A&M to go with their 2nd pick,
Mike
Evans, and give Bradford someone to throw to.
I actually love that Mike Evans to St. Louis there because if you look at their receiving core, they have some talent, but they're all kind of
tiny.
Tiny and slot receiver type guys. What they need a big body.
Mm-hmm. I think if Detroit is smart and they don't draft a wide receiver at that 10th spot, they don't take Mike Evans. They don't need him. It's like the Jadeveon Clowney to Houston thing. It's like, we can have him in.
I don't know. I mean, it's been 3 years since they've drafted a receiver in the first round.
They've got Megatron. They signed Golden Tate. There isn't a desperate need there. They need a corner badly. Take Bernard. Take Gilbert.
You've been hearing that for a decade. Also, you kind of think about the cliche where it's a copycat league, and they saw what Chicago did this year with Jeffrey and Marshall. They might decide to go that route. I mean, I do think corner is where they should go, or maybe a linebacker, depending on what happens. But I mean, it'd be just. From a fantasy football standpoint, again, I feel like we're going to talk about fantasy football a lot for the rest of the summer.
My favorite topic in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like fantasy football, get out of America. Just from a fantasy football standpoint, that would be just ridiculous.
Oh, it would. But they need to make some small little moves here and there. They're close to the playoffs. They're so close. I think getting a corner and solidifying that, their defensive line is ferocious. And I mean, lion pun. And just
they got Nick Fairley.
Yeah, and Ezekiel Anza and Ndamukong Suh. Golden Tate is a really underrated wide receiver. He could be a really good number 2 in Detroit. So I don't think they necessarily need to draft like a Mike Evans. Like, he'd be really good. But if they have other needs on the defensive side of the ball, just take a guy like Denard from Michigan State. The the fans of Detroit will love it. Or take a Justin Gilbert kind of guy. Or if he's there, C.J. Wilson, the middle linebacker from Alabama, would be a good pick too.
I would say honestly, if they do go defenses, I would probably go with one of the linebackers, a defensive lineman, just because I think if you have a good enough front seven, which they already have the pieces to do, they can make average cornerbacks look like all-stars.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what do you think about Matt Stafford, though?
I think he's good. I think he's definitely really talented, and I think that having Caldwell in there to help develop him is going to help him a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what he needs too, because honestly, one thing I do like about Stafford is he kind of has this little. He has something a lot of quarterbacks. He just has a little bit of swagger to him that I really like. Like, he has that when you see him on the field, you kind of have I don't care who the other quarterback is. I know I can throw the ball farther than that. That's just one of those little subtle things that I like about. He has that swagger that I think rubs off on the rest of the team.
Right.
Yeah. He definitely has a lot of physical talent. He did lose them a lot of games last year with his poor decision making. I think that's where Caldwell is going to help. That hire was directly related to we need to fix Matt Stafford's mental issues.
Especially because I remember there was I don't know after what game last year when they asked him, it was Jim Schwartz about the issues that Stafford had, and he basically said there weren't any. I think that kind of rubbed off on the whole team, where it was kind of they didn't see probably their most glaring issue on offense, which was the up and down play of Matthew Stafford, which I think Caldwell, if you look at what he did with Flacco, he's going to help Stafford.
Right.
Speaking of Flacco, the next team we get to talk about is the Baltimore Ravens. I think they finished 3rd in the AFC North last year. They had a lot of troubles with Ray Rice in the offseason, and during the season last year, he didn't play to the best of his ability. There was never really a commitment to running the football. They didn't really have a lot of weapons in the passing game for Flacco to use, so that Torrey Smith got a lot of the coverage, and thus maybe they weren't able to really rely on the running game. I mean, their offense didn't have any balance. And now
they also didn't have Dennis Pitta for a while.
Yeah, they didn't. They got him back at the very end of the year. So now Baltimore is struggling. After a year where they won the Super Bowl, a lot of us didn't think that would be a far-fetched idea that they would struggle. They lost a lot of the people from their team. They brought in like Elmas Dumerville, but they lost Reed and Lewis, and they're struggling to refine their identity. Some of their big off-season needs would be a running back. They did sign Justin Gilbert from Seattle.
Oh, they got Ray Rice, man.
Yeah, he's busy punching his girlfriend.
Yeah, well, he might be getting traded to the Mean Machine pretty soon.
Yeah.
Jacoby Jones,
good solid return man. They brought in Steve Smith, which was a huge addition.
And they also signed Owen Daniels.
Like they're missing.
Yeah, Steve Smith is nice. For running backs, they got Bernard Pierce.
Mm-hmm. And they also just recently signed Owen Daniels, which should help Flacco over the middle.
Yeah, 1-year deal. They lost Dixon. They got Daniels, and their Daniels are really solid tight end. So they made some moves on offense to help give themselves some weapons. Smith is going to help a lot. His own numbers may suffer a little, but it's going to help out Torrey Smith. It's going to help out Owen Daniels.
And also, I think the most underrated thing about that too, I think he's going to give that offense an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fits Baltimore really well. His persona fits that team perfectly. They needed that toughness that they're missing when they lost Bolden. So
I think the biggest issue they have really is on the defensive side, really, because they have a few pieces. They have Haloti Ngata, Terrell Suggs, but besides that, they really don't have much of anything of consequence.
They re-signed Mountain Cody. It's weird. A lot of mock drafts I'm seeing have them taking Anthony Barr. Like, what happened to make him slip all the way down to the 20s? Like, he was a top 10 pick a week ago, or not a week ago, a few weeks ago, and now he's
I honestly still think he is, but, sometimes what it is it's not so much him falling, it's these quarterbacks and receivers and some of these other players rising, and also the big debate I've seen with a lot of the mock draft stuff is Mack versus Barr. I think with the way the draft falls, if wherever the first one goes is going to decide where the second one goes, just as far as how high. Like, if Anthony Barr or Khalil Mack goes in the top 5, I think that's where the other one will start dropping. But if one of them, because it's really going to come down to just where the first one falls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think a guy like Barr would fit in really well in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. that defensive aggression they have. And I mean, like, he's going to immediately go to, like, a good team with good players already surrounding them.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, too, if he does go to Baltimore, let's just, say that. I think they'd probably use him similar to how the 49ers used Aldon Smith. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot as a rookie. They just basically brought him in on third downs and on passing downs to rush the passer, which is what he's really good at.
Yeah. So that could be somewhere for them to go. They could also use a defensive back. There's some needs there on defense for the Ravens, but they're getting close to rebuilding with it.
And I still wouldn't rule out them taking a receiver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have Torrey Smith and they have Steve Smith, but if there's a receiver there not named Smith, they might go for that. They can use someone to complement those two.
So what do you think they need most? What do you think they need most to fill?
Well, I'm trying to think if there's any receivers in the draft named Smith. I think they're safe that there aren't, so they'll probably be able to avoid that.
There probably is. There's 95 of them, so I'm sure there's one somewhere.
I don't think they need another receiver, though.
Not named Smith, anyway.
Yeah.
But I also just think with them, it's going to depend on how the board plays. Because I think the best move for them would be to go with a front seven player or maybe a corner if maybe Darqueze Dennard or Justin Gilbert fall to them. If one of those two guys are there when they pick whenever, I think 17 or somewhere in there, they should run up to the podium with that card. But
what's really awkward is Baltimore and Dallas have a coin flip to decide who picks before the other one, and Gilbert would be beautiful on both of those teams. So it's like man, a coin flip is deciding whether we get this corner of the future or not.
That'd be kind of like when they had that botched trade a couple years ago.
Yeah,
it was them and the Eagles or something like that. But I think just with them in the first round, as far as I was talking about with Cleveland's best player available, they're in that kind of late teens, early 20s spot where a lot of people say where the receivers are going to start getting picked off.
That's true. Yeah, a guy like Beckham or Cooks would fit in really nicely in Baltimore. They could use another receiver to complement them, but they do have a lot of defensive needs. It's really just going to depend on what the value is where they're picking.
Yeah.
But
because also just saying with them as far as receivers go, I think what they need is a big body because they have Torrey Smith, who's kind of a vertical guy, Steve Smith, who can do everything in all the possession receiver type stuff. They just need basically similar to what kind of like what Calvin Johnson, Brandon Marshall, those kind of guys are where you can just throw it up to them in the end zone.
Right.
So yeah, wide receiver, DB, and a front seven guy are Baltimore's big needs.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second place team in the AFC North from last year, who's been very busy this offseason, which is unlike them, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've made a lot of moves. They signed linebacker Arthur Moats from Buffalo, wide receiver Lance Moore from the New Orleans Saints, and wide receiver Darius Hayward-Bay from the Indianapolis Colts, safety Mike Mitchell from the Carolina Panthers. They re-signed outside linebacker Jason Worlds, which a lot of people were after. They let Lamar Woodley go. He went to the Raiders, but that was a move that a lot of Steelers fans were expecting. Worlds was going to take over the job from Woodley. They've been quite busy. They signed a defensive tackle from San Diego. I don't remember it. His name escapes me at the moment, but he started last year for the Chargers. So they've filled a lot of their needs through free agency, which isn't something the Steelers usually do. I was on board with them taking a receiver, but they've signed two now in the offseason, and I think that they've probably got enough receivers now. Their big need is corner. Their need for 5 years has been corner. So I definitely see them looking at Dennard or Gilbert with their first pick. Absolutely. A need Pittsburgh needs, a big need Pittsburgh needs. They need someone to help out Ike Taylor because Ike Taylor cannot be your only saving grace against the passing game. Yeah. He's old. He lets a lot of people beat him, and they need someone in there. Dennard is who they're in love with. Who's to say he'll still be there at 13, but they need him.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't rule out them taking a safety with Ryan Clark going to he signed somewhere, I don't know where. But
well, that's what the Mike Mitchell signing was supposed to be for. And they've got a guy they drafted last year out of Syracuse that's a really talented player.
Mm-hmm.
Him. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he's supposed to take over for Polamalu when Polamalu retires.
And Polamalu, who doesn't have, I honestly don't think Polamalu has much left, but I still wouldn't rule out them maybe taking at least a look at the top safeties. But I think corner is probably was their biggest need right now.
I've seen contrasts with Clinton Dix and Calvin Pryor being guys Pittsburgh looks at.
Yeah, and LOL Clinton Dix would be kind of interesting in Pittsburgh, I think.
I love his name.
No, but I mean, just because he kind of fits that Pittsburgh one. I didn't watch every game he played, but just when I watched him play, he kind of fits that Pittsburgh style, just grittiness, toughness, and just he's not afraid to hit you.
No.
Just ask Mike Evans.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some guys there in the secondary. Mainly, they're making
also with them. I also wouldn't rule out them maybe taking a guy like Taylor Lewan if he slips to them at 13 either, because Lord knows Ben Roethlisberger needs help on the offensive line.
Yeah,
he does.
Would be nice. That's one of the things though. Like Pittsburgh's outlook this season is really strong. They're gonna have Le'Veon Bell for a full season, and he was really impressive last year.
And they also signed LeGarrette Blount. So.
And Marquise Pouncey is going to be back for a full season this year. He got hurt really early in the season last year, so Pittsburgh's got a lot of optimism this year.
They need coverage for like Antonio Brown, and I don't know. Go ahead.
I think an underrated signing for them was Lance Moore, just because he's not a household name or anything like that, but he's a good like slot receiver who I think could. If you watched him in New Orleans, he makes one or two like plays every game where it's just like, how the hell did he do that? Kind of like Steve Smith when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I think Pittsburgh's got a lot of optimism. They got Brown as their number one guy. They got Hayward Bay to stretch the field, and then Lance Moore to play in the slot. Wheaton is going to be there as a guy they like a lot.
Yeah, Flacco.
The big beef I have with DHB is sure he can stretch the field, but can he catch the fucking ball?
Mm-hmm. That's true. So they might still go for a guy like a Mike Evans if he's there. Because
but I just don't see, with just the way the Steelers work, I think just with the signings they've made, I would kind of like almost rule out taking a receiver at 13 just because it doesn't seem like a Steeler thing to do, but at the same time, who the fuck knows? Because especially if a guy like, Mike Evans or say Sammy Watkins or something just falls to you, you can't pass that up.
Sammy Watkins would not fall to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no. Stranger things have happened, because they also said the same thing. There's always one player in every draft that's supposed to be a surefire top 10 pick, ends up in the 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've heard Watkins is supposed to be the most talented wide receiver to come out since Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
so.
I know what I'll say about Sammy Watkins, just because from the time since I've been watching college football more than just passively, he's probably the best receiver I've ever seen. I've watched in college football.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, also I didn't really watch religiously, like when Calvin Johnson was coming up, or all those guys. It was really 2009, 2010 is when I really got into college football. But in the few years I've watching religiously. He's head and shoulders the best I've ever seen. AJ
Green was really good in college.
Yeah, and Julio Jones as well. But I mean, he's right up there with the two of them. I think that's pretty much consensus.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can't see him slipping past like 5. The Raiders are in love with fast wide receivers, so
yeah,
they might go there. Although they really need to go quarterback. That's been their need since Jamarcus Russell.
For the Raiders?
Yeah.
Rich Gannon.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Come on.
They've needed a quarterback for 12 years, so they should probably do that.
What is Trail Pryor?
Pryor's gone.
I heard you requested a trade.
They have Matt Schaub.
Schaub has the potential to be an awesome quarterback.
At 34.
I'm.
But to be fair, like before this time a year ago, if you would have said Matt Schaub would have been a Super Bowl quarterback this time ago, no one would have batted an eye at it.
No,
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of. It wasn't unrealistic to say the Texans could have went to the Super Bowl this time a year ago.
No,
it kind of shows, really, like it kind of just shows how much perception can change in a year.
Mm-hmm. He turned the perception down.
Turned down for what?
He made it worse the way he played last year.
Yeah, and like what was
perception?
Yeah, and that is true. I mean, because there was, and some of those. I've also heard is he really wasn't given much freedom on the line of scrimmage to audible out of plays.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to defend my Matt Schaub. I've been a Matt Schaub fan for years, but I just think his best years are behind him.
Yeah, they are.
And,
the guy led the league in passing a few years ago, but yeah. he's kind of falling apart. I'm not saying he will be bad in Oakland. He could be a guy to like right the ship. But if there's a guy they like, just take a franchise quarterback. He's not. Schaub's not going to be your guy for years.
Yeah, like I think he could be a good stopgap for maybe a full season or half a season while say they draft Blake Bortles or I've been saying this for weeks now. Johnny Football is the perfect Raider to me. But whoever it is, say if the coaching staff doesn't feel ready to throw them out there week one, maybe. Because I know with the Raider fans, I know enough Raider fans, the first pick 6 he throws in the black hole, there's going to be a revolt.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with sitting and developing a quarterback like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to throw a guy out there. Like I know some guys like Flacco and Matt Ryan and Stafford have had some success starting right away. Even Mark Sanchez at first had success starting right away. But you can sit there and develop your guy behind a guy like Matt Schaub, and then when Schaub starts playing poorly, you can let him play then. You don't have to throw him in there week one.
I honestly think that the Aaron Rodgers thing is kind of an isolated incident because I think he would have been great either way. But I think it really what helps with them. Say whoever quarterback they draft, or if Andy's team's at the top of the draft a quarterback they don't feel comfortable with starting right away. They kind of they've undone that with the new salary cap. You don't have to throw a rookie quarterback out there right away because they're not making $40 million guaranteed. That kind of helps especially because they say Blake Bortles and Johnny Manziel and Teddy Bridge, the consensus top three, they all have flaws in their game that are going to take time to develop to the acclimate to the NFL, whether you believe that or not. They'll be making probably $3 to $5 million a year, which a good backup makes anyway.
Right.
I don't know. There's not too many like quarterbacks that are left to pick up that are worth anything.
Not in free agency, no. That's why they got to look at the draft.
The free agent quarterback pool this year was atrocious.
I mean, when Josh McCown is the headlining guy, that's
I was going to say that too. I mean,
McCown's not bad.
He's all right, but no, he shouldn't be the best quarterback in the free agent class, though.
No.
Well, Michael Vick for 6 quarters until he gets hurt.
Yeah, 6 quarters. Oh, like an actual season, like a game and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, Josh, you realize there are like less than 6 quarters in a game, right? Like, this guy. Maybe that's why he's getting hurt. He's playing extra football.
He's running around.
He's still playing. He gets hit by a car.
Just tackles some old lady.
Hey, the old lady picked him off.
Right.
Oh shit!
Was that a joke at how bad Vic is? Old ladies can pick him off.
Yeah,
sure. The Jets are used to that. It's fine.
Yeah, how bad he is at reading a defense. The Jets should be used to that though. I mean, Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, exactly.
Brett Favre,
Kellen Clemens. Yeah.
Brett Favre, come on, man. That was sad. That was a sad moment for him.
I don't want to hear those words. All right.
No,
we don't talk about Brett Favre on the show.
No, I love Brett Favre.
I don't.
He's
Brett Favre's responsible for giving me a heart attack, all right? Fuck that guy. The most beautiful, happy moment of my life, after when John Cena lost the WWE title, is when Brett Favre threw that interception to the Giants in 2007, and I said, yes, there is a God. The Packers
You're done. You're done, Favre.
You're done, you old man.
And then you probably had the exact opposite reaction 2 years later.
Yeah. No, it was. You're right. It was the exact opposite reaction. It's exactly. I cried for weeks. No. You know what's funny is I realized the other day, like, this is how much I hate John Cena. I don't know if we have any wrestling fans who listen to the show, but I hate John Cena so much. I've hated him twice as long as I've hated Brett Favre. That's absurd.
Too much like you.
Well, because I hated Brett Favre for like 6 years, the amount of time I watched football until he was a Viking, and then I hated John Cena for like almost 12 now. So, that's crazy. I actually wished cancer and AIDS on John Cena.
Whoa!
That's how much of a John Cena hater I am.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Chris is a hater.
How do you feel now?
I feel great.
Be sure honest.
Yeah. Yeah, we got one more team, the AFC North winning Cincinnati's Bengals from last season. They kept most of their team together. They've re-signed most of their guys. They haven't lost anyone big, and they let James Harrison go. He was 400 years old. That was intelligent. He wasn't actually doing anything for them anyway. Their needs are pass rusher, defensive back are probably needs. They could use another wide receiver, but they don't have any glaring needs. Cincinnati could trade their first round pick and not blink an eye.
I think quarterback is a need, but that's just me.
Quarterback's debatably a need in the future if they ever want to win a championship, but they're competing every year with Andy Dalton. They have one of the most talented first-round pick-laden rosters in the NFL. They have a great 1-2 punch in running back with Bernard and Law Firm. The A.J. Green, right there with Calvin, is the most talented wide receiver in the NFL. Loaded, like tight end even, Gresham and Eifert. They've got talent all over the offense. Their defense is really solid.
Kind of interesting fun fact that the last two tight ends we drafted in the first round were both drafted by the Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. But yeah, the main thing Cincinnati lost, they lost both their coordinators to head coaching jobs. Zimmer went to Minnesota, Gruden went to Washington, and that's actually a bigger deal than you think. They got completely new people in there running the offense and the defense now, but it's just a showing of how good the coaching staff was in Cincinnati, that both the offensive and defensive coordinators left and got head coaching jobs this offseason. So that's a show of how good Cincinnati was. But is it a sign of how good are they going to be this year? Go ahead and, Josh, predict for me first through fourth in the AFC North this year coming up.
I'd say first will be the Steelers. Second, I'm going to go with the Ravens. Third, the Bengals. And, Browns. Browns.
I thought I was going to be like, cool, and you guys are going to be like, oh, the Bengals. And then I was going to be like, no, the Steelers. And then I was going to sound like a genius in January, so thanks.
Yeah.
Craig.
I got to beat you.
I would say the Steelers. I mean, the Bengals and Chargers. I don't know.
Who you got second, the Bengals or the Ravens?
Oh, Ravens.
I didn't even give you the choice of the Browns because I know you're not going to say the Browns.
And now the Browns are going to win 12 games. We're all going to look like it.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb then and say I think Baltimore wins the AFC North this year. I could see that. Pittsburgh gets second, Cincinnati third, Cleveland fourth.
Yeah, my big.
You guys are forgetting about the Chiefs.
Yeah. Interesting, too. We all kind of have the Bengals falling off from first to third. Why do you guys have them falling?
I think losing both their coordinators is going to hurt them a lot, and I think Baltimore and Pittsburgh made big strides to getting better. I think Cincinnati kind of took advantage of a time period when Pittsburgh and Baltimore were really struggling, and now that they're starting to remake their rosters and starting to try to get back up to that level. That's why I think it's more not necessarily Cincinnati falling apart. I think it's more those teams finally taking back what they had. Like Cincinnati barely won the division anyway, and those Ravens and Steelers teams were pretty poor. So that's why.
Yeah, AFC North is kind of hurting.
It's tough now. The Bengals and the last few years has been really bad, but the Ravens and Steelers are getting up there again, and the Browns, maybe in a few years they can compete. Who knows? The Browns, probably not.
I hope the Browns win the division this year now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all look like idiots. That'd be awesome. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, the Browns, the Browns
that'd
and the
be
Jaguars
a surprise,
in the AFC
man.
Championship.
That'd be a surprise.
My biggest question I have with the Bengals, we kind of alluded to earlier, is Andy Dalton. I mean, because sure they've been competing with him, but you really have to, when you're the Bengals, you have to kind of question when is just competing not enough. I think the Bengals need to at least draft somebody to not necessarily start over him, but maybe a third-round pick to compete. Mm-hmm. Because there's stretches where he looks like a top-tier quarterback, and other stretches where I'm watching the Bengals, like in that playoff game against the Chargers. I'm just like, what the hell is this guy doing in the NFL?
Yeah.
And really, if you just take away the names, and if you watched a silhouette of Andy Dalton next to a silhouette of Colt McCoy, would you be able to tell the difference?
I don't know. I think that Dalton has made some good plays to them, but we're starting to hear the whispers now, like, oh, is Dalton the guy? And maybe he gets another year, and then maybe they start looking at, oh, okay, do we need to bring in someone to push you? Like, is that what it takes? They're a young team, so this isn't like a rush right now panic mode thing.
Dalton's nice. He's all right. He can hold his own during the regular season, sure.
I'll tell you what, I would fucking kill to have Andy Dalton. I have Matt Castle. Fuck off.
He's an injured, so.
Yeah, if Cincinnati wants to just throw him away, we'll take him. We got his coach.
When it comes to drafting replacements, say Teddy Bridgewater falls to them. That'd be something interesting.
Definitely. I don't know if they'd pull the trigger there.
I don't know. I'm a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan, if you couldn't tell.
Maybe. You know what? You know where I think whatever quarterback slips past. If a quarterback slips past Minnesota and moves down the draft board, I guarantee Arizona's the team that takes them.
That'd be interesting. I mean,
there's Carson Palmer would not be offended if they used a first-round pick on a quarterback, and he realizes how old he is.
Yeah, well,
so
he also might, try to retire again.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong there, and the Cardinals are so talented that using a first-round pick on a quarterback doesn't really hurt them. It's kind of a need for them anyway. Yeah.
At the very least, maybe Carson Palmer has maybe 2 years left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so having Bridgewater sit for 2 years isn't a big deal. If that's what happened.
Also. So on the topic of top quarterbacks too, it's been reported that the Patriots are working out Teddy Bridgewater and Johnny Manziel.
Probably just doing that for their diligence. I doubt that the Patriots have planned.
Yeah, and maybe thinking that they might have to play against them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, Brady's not exactly young, so.
Yeah, but also I think Brady has probably. I think there'd be a revolt among New England fans if they drafted a quarterback.
Oh my God, no, Brady's good for another. Yeah.
They have enough needs that they can't really make a quarterback like that.
I think Brady has a probably good 3 to 5 years left.
Now, if New England used like a third-round pick on a Garoppolo or something, I don't think anyone would add enough.
I think but and similar to, I would say maybe. Denver even taking a quarterback I wouldn't rule out. Maybe not in the first.
Maybe not in the first 1 or 2 more years left. Not a first-round pick, but definitely later.
Yeah, like to at least just because I don't know how comfortable they'd be would be to after Peyton retires, say it's after this year, next year, whatever, handing the keys of the offense to Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, Denver's actually they've accepted that they've built this team to win right this second.
Yeah.
As soon as Manning retires, it's going to be a lot of years of clearing the salary cap back up, releasing guys, rebuilding with the draft. They understand that.
I think the minute that Manning retires, Talib, basically every player they signed this year is going to get cut.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of, honestly, I like the way they're doing that too. They're putting all their eggs in the Manning basket because they know after he retires, there's going to be a significant drop off. They'd be lucky to be an 8-8 team without Peyton.
It's really what's not that surprising is Denver realized that they need to bulk up that defense. They brought in Ware, they've got Von Miller. They are every mock draft I've seen has them taking a pass rusher. They're looking at having a rotation of defensive linebackers to rush the passer. They want to bring back Sean Phillips, and then they brought in Talib, which is an upgrade over Cromartie. Denver's loading up on defense. They understand that they have that best offense ever, and having a defense in there that can, put pressure on the other quarterback. And
and with losing Decker, I wouldn't rule them out taking a receiver either.
Emmanuel Sanders is a really underrated wide receiver, but he's not 6'3". He's not jumping up there like Decker. He's going to be a possession receiver. Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas are still going to stretch the field, though. Yeah. I don't think they use a first-round pick on one, but I could see them using a second-round pick on a guy like Devontae Adams or something.
Yeah, but also with how many receivers there are in this draft, I think every team should draft a receiver.
Yeah, why not? I definitely could see Denver taking one.
Yeah, maybe in like the 4th round or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They give them like candy.
Yeah, there are a lot of receivers. That is not exaggeration.
And the crazy things with the amount of receivers in this draft is how many of them are underclassmen.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you come out this early?
Yeah, you can come out next year. I mean, Michael Sam came out early, but you can come out next year and you can come out next year and be not having to live in the shadow of Sammy Watkins and Mike Evans.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is too maybe some of these players are just these they're getting bad information. I think some of them might be, but who knows?
Agents just want to get paid now.
Yeah, they don't. They give absolutely no fucks.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on here for like an hour and a half. I'm sure, we've ran through every topic we can. So, you have anything you want to plug, Josh, your Twitter that nobody follows, maybe?
Yeah, my Twitter, hey now, at @Gomez_time76. And since we've talked about fantasy football enough, I'm going to be starting up my fantasy football blog. It's fantasyfbcorner.wordpress.com for all your fantasy football needs.
Yeah, good stuff on there. I used that to scout the competition a lot last year. So, yeah, check it out for sure. What about you, Craig?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna shamelessly plug the website Fanboys Anonymous. fanboysanonymous.com for everything geek-related things like movies, television shows, and this network is affiliated with that website too. So if you want to catch the other shows like Dace Man Show and Raw Post Show, you can check that website out. Check out they got reviews and writers. They got all kinds of stuff, good stuff on there. So that, and I guess if you want to talk to me, I got a Twitter, Craig Kells at Twitter, and catch me on Facebook, I guess, Craig Kellerman. And that's my shamelessly plugging.
Alrighty, and then you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/sportstalkweekly. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/sporttalkweekly. Just keep checking us out. Keep listening every Saturday at 9 o'clock. We've innerly discussed the possibility of moving the night of the show. If that happens, we'll tell you guys a week or two in advance on the show. You can follow us on YouTube and Stitcher Radio. Thanks for tuning in every week. We're our viewer count's getting up there every week, so you guys are the main reason for that. So thanks for doing that, and tune in next week. All right, peace.
Hey, Dace Tattoo Nation, it is I, Chris, the Dace Man Dace, host of the Dace Man Show, checking in with you guys to let you know of a new podcast debuting April 13th called For Real Movie Club here on Mega Powers Radio. Join me for the month of April as I moderate a panel of 4 movie buffs as we discuss Mel Brooks films. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's April 13th. Tune your radios to Mega Powers Radio, and ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.